up, get out right out of your bed, that's your quicksand. Getting rid anxiety and head, you can fix it. Rid of stigmas, all of them you said, we ain't listening. Just remember, try to do your best, you can win this. Maurice Benard, State of Mind.
So I'm going to do this like a real state of mind. That's going to be interesting, is in, people talking and stuff. But that's all right.
Oh, those are the green hats? The green hats.
The green hats are cool.
I want a green.
Yeah, I'm taking green ones. Badass. They're cool. Hey, not just trying to sell my merchandise, but it looks good. Man, I can't tell how many people love the merchandise.
I like my new shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're jokes. They're like saying it to say it, because otherwise they probably wouldn't even bring it up. So they're like, oh man, I love wearing the merchandise. And he just put that hat on. Look how good that hat is.
Usually I got small hats, and usually these truckers look giant on my head. But these are actually
Yeah.
awesome. Looks
But
good.
the green is. Let me take my.
Distracted. I gotta focus on the question.
I'm gonna start.
How about we play strip question? Every question. Go down. I don't have any buts, but everyone.
Special event.
That's good.
You have too
I
many
think I have a
questions.
shirt just like that. But
Got the zip.
Anyway, so I want to tell you, like I tell everybody, if you don't like anything, you don't have to say anything you don't want. But if tomorrow, the next day, you're thinking, why did I say that? I will cut it because I want people to feel free, that they don't have to think about what's going on here. It's a conversation, and that's just the way it is.
It's tough now doing interviews in any capacity because there's so many wrong things you can say, and there's so many opinions now, and it sucks because even not giving an answer to everybody's giving an answer. So it's really hard to conduct them and answer them,
Without thinking.
in this climate, because you also sometimes you can't be as honest as you want to be because you don't want to offend, or you don't want to, and unfortunately that ruins the interview because you're getting one person's opinion, perspective, or journey, you know what I mean?
Right. And you don't want to say fuck, too many times.
Right. That's different.
Even though it is YouTube.
Yeah.
It's swear.
All right.
Every time somebody on State of Mind swears, like, oh my God, can I swear? I said, yes, you do.
Yeah.
So let's get it on. I don't have to introduce you now because usually what I usually do in the State of Mind, especially if I don't know somebody, I like to kiss their ass for about a minute and then bring them in. And it kind of makes them feel good.
Get kissed by ass at the end.
And I just
Put a
kissed.
bow on.
I did kiss ass at the end.
Oh, okay.
But I think your ass has been kissed already. So let's start with, if you like what you see, please hit the button. Can you guys come like every week? It's a different energy, which I kind of like. You were on before, and we don't have to get into it.
How long ago was that?
Well, over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And when you walked through the door, you looked like you've been, jacked up,
Oh yeah.
and you had some stuff going on. But the interview was really cool. What the hell's that? This is gonna be good. Anyway, it was in the beginning of State of Mind, and the sound sucked, and the lighting wasn't great. But boy, you had a lot of energy though. How'd you feel that day? You remember?
Yeah, that was the first time that I had sat down and actually talked about everything that had happened. So I think,
I don't think we talked somewhat. It was good talking about
yeah.
narcissism.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm starting here, but I am.
Yeah.
What is it like to be with narcissists?
Well, it's funny because I had never personally experienced that. I will say in my family, I had seen it firsthand, relationships in my family. I'll just say a woman in my family that was married to a man in my family, and the man was very, very narcissistic. So I saw it. But what's so funny is like when you're in something, I don't want to say love is blind because that sounds really cliche, but like it is. And I didn't really know what was happening when I was experiencing that. I was just like, wow, like, this person knows how to like take my confidence completely away, which is like, but how? By putting you down, like by keeping their thumb over you, and it was in increments, little increments that she would do it. And I would come out in a new outfit or something that I was really excited about because we were going to dinner. I'm making up the scenario, but there were little things like this. I would come out knowing I'm really excited about this outfit. It looks good. I'm excited what we're going to do. And she'd be like, it looks okay, but you've looked better before. And then like things like that, that wasn't the response I was expecting. And then she would come out and what she was wearing, and it was like, if I didn't go, wow, that's the best, she would make me feel bad for it. And I was like, well, you just made me feel like shit.
Yeah.
So it's like little things like that, but like after time, it chips away at you, and like you feel like you can't do anything right.
But didn't you figure it out at some point? Like, if I'm with a chick and she does that to me, well, like let's say when I was with girls before Paula, yeah, and I don't want to seem like Robert De Niro, Raging Bull. But if she was disrespectful to me in front of my friends or family, I would say, listen, come outside for a second.
Right.
Don't ever do that again.
So that didn't start happening.
When did that happen?
That started happening after I was chipped way down. Like that kind of stuff didn't happen at the beginning.
So you were in love.
I was quickly head over heels in love, enough to move to Mexico. Well, honestly, it was also the pandemic and the world was upside down. So I was like, fuck it, I'll move to Mexico. Probably wouldn't have done that if it wasn't a pandemic.
Yeah.
So, but either way, I felt, I bought the ticket, I took the ride. I felt, head over heels in love with that girl. And, I moved out there and not really knowing her. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Not really knowing her, just knowing like we had this connection. And then, there was just all these red flags. I was like, wow, like, she drives a really nice car. Wow, this is a really nice place. And like, wow, she's kind of a dick. And and after all these like little wows, I'm starting to be like, what did I get myself into, And like I said, it was the little things at first. It was like, and it depends on what type of person you are. Everybody has their love languages and whatnot. But like I listen to what my partner likes, and I like surprising them with those things. If it's a cupcake from this special place, I like to, surprise her with that. So I was starting to do things like that as, the relationship went on. I would just realize that they weren't landing. She didn't appreciate anything.
Damn.
Christmas came around. No Christmas gift. Like nothing. Nothing, so much so that like the next day I was like, nothing? And she was like, oh, and like went on like the Uber Eats or the Amazon ordered me a lint roller and a bottle of whiskey. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, this is fucking great. 0 points for effort. Like, so stuff like that just didn't like add up,
And then it just kind of ended.
Well, no, it didn't end. It got way worse than that. I started seeing red flags on a different level of like, I'd be on her computer and there'd be a weird amount of videos of her and like older men engaging in sex. That was a big red flag, obviously. And yeah, I questioned her about it, and like she gave me some roundabout answer, and I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm in Mexico, like, and I'm calling my friends, and I'm like, dude, this is getting strange. And I was like,
and are you kind of feeling stuck there?
I was feeling a little stuck. Yeah, I was feeling a little stuck. And also at this point, I was like, 4 or 5 months. Mind you, it was the pandemic, so we were quarantined. So 4 or 5 months feels like 2 years. You know, every day was with this person in the house trying to entertain ourselves and whatnot. So 4 or 5 months in, you know, it's when I started seeing that stuff, and I was like, you know, she would come home and I would be like, what is this? And she would be like, why are you looking on, you know, my stuff on my computer? And I was like, well, to be fair, like a thing popped up and like I clicked on it and it was some, you know, older man asking you to go on a trip with him, you know? And then he had like, it was, you know, your messages connect to the computer. I was using your computer we were doing at the time some like vegan food.
That's right.
Remember? I was trying to make something out of nothing. You know, it was the pandemic. I was in Mexico. I don't know what I was doing. But yeah, we were trying to make this company. So I was doing work and like messages would pop up. And like, it wasn't the first time. It would happen multiple times. And he'd be like, you know, are you available? It was almost like some like Liam Neeson shit. Like, are you available on the tents for, you know, a
So
trip?
was she an escort?
Yes. Found out she was an escort, but not only an escort, one that was owned by the Mexican cartel. So this is where it gets, you know, it gets hairy. So I had gathered that much at this point that she was in some type of high-end sex work. And I was like, yikes. So her birthday was coming up in like a week or something like that. And I had already booked the tickets, had it planned. And we were in Mexico City and we were doing the birthday in Tulum, which is like an hour plane ride or something like that. I forget. And I had friends that were there because her birthday landed on, I want to say it was like the week of New Year's or like right before New Year's or something. So luckily I had a bunch of friends that were in Tulum and wanted to celebrate. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I'm coming out there for so-and-so's birthday. So this is where it gets fucking crazy. So we get on the plane for the trip and we're in the air, you know, maybe 30 minutes in the air. And we're sitting like with the row in between us, right? So that's your seat, my seat, the you know, walkways in between. And she turns to me and she goes, hey, where did you land? I'm going to get in a cab and go my way. You're going to get in a cab and go your way. And you're never to speak to me, find me, call, text me ever again. Exactly like that. And I'm like, fucking hilarious. Totally. Yeah. It's role play. Let's go. And, you know, I didn't actually say that, but in my head, I'm like, obviously you're kidding. Because who does that? What's happening right now? And I'm like, you know, then I start to realize, I'm like, yeah, fucking kidding. You know what I mean? And she's like, you know, and I'm like, whoa, no, like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? What do you mean when I land, you go your way? Like, what fucking movie are we in?
Right.
What are you talking about? We live together. Like, we're in love. No. We land, go your way. That's it. And go this way. And now I'm starting to like freak out. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? And, you know, I'm big on not making scenes. I hate scenes.
Right.
And I'm on a plane full of people, you know? So there's not so much I could do. So I'm like kind of whisper arguing, like, you fucking kidding me right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like trying to keep it low. And she was dead serious. And we land and she gets in a cab and she goes her way.
Damn.
And I get in the cab and I call fucking everybody in my phone because I'm like, what do I do? What's happening? You know, and my friends that were there in Tulum, they're like, dude, wow, just come to us, you know, and I'm like crying and like freaking out, you know what I mean? Like I'm heartbroken right now.
And scared.
Yeah, it's scared, you know, but like my mind didn't go as dark as like it was about to get. And
Darker than this?
Oh yeah. Darkest night of my life. And anyway, so, you know, long story short, without leaving anything important, I get to Tulum, I meet up with my friends. All, you know, they're like, dude, you know, shake it off, whatever, forget her. Like, that's the weirdest thing we've ever heard. We're going to have fun. So I'm like, okay. So I'm having fun, more fun than I've ever had because I'm trying to drown the sorrows, you know? So I'm having fun from, you know, 2 p.m. to, you know, let's call it 2 a.m. You know, I think it was New Year's Eve actually. So there was a lot of fun to be had. And it gets to 2 a.m. and there's like some big mansion party in Tulum. And they're like, let's go. It's going to be fun. I'm 3 sheets to the wind at this point. I'm like, dude, take me anywhere. Like, I just want to have fun. So we get there and we're on the dance floor. It's 2, 3 a.m., whatever. We're having a good time. And in walks her. And I'll never forget because it was like a movie. There was this techno song on and everything was black. dude, everything was black and red and there was this techno song and I was like, dancing, like the crowd opened up and it's just her. And it's like, now I can't even listen to the song. It's like a fucking horror movie to me. So anyway, like she walks in and I'm just like, what's happening? And I talk to her and she's like, so calm and chill. And she's like, you need to stay away from me. She's like, we cannot be talking. You need to stay away. And I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I can't be next to you? What? Why? Who's going to say that I can't be? Blah, 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 blah. And she's, you need to stay away. Trust me, you need to stay away. You need to stay away. So then a little bit later into the night, it sounds like a movie. I've had 2 people who are actually like massive writers that have wanted to write. I won't say who they are, but they wanted to write this as a film. So later in the night, I see her locked arms with, I'll never forget, it was a guy in a fishnet black shirt with a ponytail and like 17 gold chains around. I'm not kidding. Like the Latin Mr. T. I was like, what? I was like, what's happening right now? She's walking away with this guy, like into another part of the house, and I'm sitting there with 2 of my friends, and I'm just like so heartbroken. To be dumb and see her walking away with a guy right in front of me on the same day was just like. And I was like, my friends are like, don't do anything. I was like, no, I can't take this, man. And I go, running after her. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Like, what's going on? And as soon as I'm doing that, I get tackled from the left, the right, the back by 3 giant guys with rifles and tack vests and knives. And they kick the shit out of me. They put the rifles to my head. They put a knife to my throat. They choke me out so hard that I'm throwing up on myself. Almost killed me, basically. I'm sitting here in like a polo shirt, like looking all LA, dude. Like these guys, they kicked the shit out of me. They carried me over their head like a human sacrifice. I'll never forget it. Dude, when I say these guys were like 6'7", like 350 pound, like cartel, like nasty. No one's doing anything. I don't care who you think you are. Right. You're not doing anything. And I've been drinking all day, so they're carrying me over their head. They throw me literally into the jungle. Like, I'm not kidding. This is at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Like, it's pitch black. And I had to walk through the jungle. Oh, my. Pitch black like this, like probably a mile and a half to find the hotel at like 4 a.m. with the shit kicked out of me. And I wake up in the morning and I finally get to the hotel and I hit up my friends and I tell them, because I had actually lost them at some point. They were there, or no, I forget where they were, but it doesn't matter. Nothing anybody could do anyway. And I wake up in the hotel room and, I text her the next day and I'm like, all of my stuff is at your place. And she's like, I told you to not text me or call me ever again. She was like, you should get a flight home. And that's what I did. I got a flight home.
And you did state of mind.
Yeah, I did stay. Dude, I was
he was like
there.
this.
I was in therapy for like 5-6 months after that. But I'd found out, after I did some diving, that she was owned by like a very dangerous cartel and like did sex work for them. And I was very, very, very much so in danger. And lucky that I got out with my life. So that was and then I just stayed in mind with you. Yeah. What's crazy?
But you didn't get into this state of mind.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit. But it was the first time, like, after that, like, I was in, I actually went to my parents in Florida and stayed with my parents for a while because I was all, I was all messed up by it. And I was first time I've ever experienced, like, night terrors, like, waking up, screaming, sweating, crying for months, like, every night.
What did you do for that for the night?
I just did. I was in therapy for like 4 months, probably 4 months, and they just kind of. I don't even remember what the stuff we worked on through that, but it was just a really traumatic experience. So
Yeah, this is getting this. And no state of mind has ever started like this. I got to tell you, it's a trip. But as far as since it is a mental health show, I'll get into it a little bit. With not sleeping.
I had that problem my whole life.
I know. I remember you had that.
I've had insane insomnia.
So how many hours a night do you?
4.
That's it.
Yeah. I average like 4 to 5 hours a night, which I'm now at almost 33, like used to operating on that little of sleep, but like I'm always tired. I get, I don't know how many people here, sleep well, and I hope everybody does. But I have that night where you go to bed and you wake up in the morning fully rested like twice a year. It sucks. And I've been on, Ambien, Xanax, weed, melatonin, you name it. I've been on it for sleeping. It's called interrupted sleep, what I have. So I can fall asleep, but I can't stay asleep. I wake up I never fall into REM, basically. And I wake up probably 15 times a night. Yeah. So,
Damn.
Yeah,
I mean, with me, it's interesting that the sleep thing, because it's scared the hell out of me. Yeah. Just recently, but so I went through a pretty tough situation with my wife and my son. Went to Europe, and I started getting anxiety and no one to really talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to kind of do it in my room by myself. Now, I've conquered bipolar, manic episodes. I've been in a mental institution. I have a lot of anxiety. I've conquered it. Depression. But this one, every night at between 3, because it says that's what happens. Between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up like this, shaking, and I'm like, oh fuck. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, so that was one night. The next night, and the next night. This was going on for about over 2 weeks.
Consistently.
Yeah, every night. There's no way I could, and I had to take stuff to. Now, I felt, but damn, I hear you, and it's like, I felt that I could fight and win all the battles, but the battle of trying to fight not sleeping is gonna kick my ass.
Yeah, dude.
And I remember calling my wife and saying, honey, this is different. This is our livelihood. Because I knew if this kept going. Now, I call it, you were there too, but we'll probably get into that a little later. Or maybe now, who gives a shit? This interview's going on. But I called, you have to understand, I've been at work for 31 years, and I've only called in sick maybe, I think it was twice. For a long time, it was never. Well, in this situation, I called in sick 2 weeks. And I knew that if it was going any longer, I would be in big trouble because they were going to recast.
Really?
Yeah, you can't. At some point, I know it's weird. And
working with you for so many years, when we worked, and like you would go through tough periods and stuff. But yeah, I've never seen you out for 2 weeks.
2 weeks is a long time. And I kept telling Paul, I was like,
especially in daytime, because episodes a day.
Every day,
2 weeks is a lot.
So when I came back to work, and we'll talk about, we can't really talk about because your shit's soon.
Yeah. But we can't say that was your first day back.
Yeah, it was my first day back.
We got to work, so it was a very kind of special.
Yeah, we might as well get into it now.
Yeah.
So it was 2 weeks. I had to do 8 shows in 2 days when I first came back. Oof. And then I had to do over 20 shows in 2 weeks.
Jeez.
And I wasn't all there in the beginning, especially with Bryan. What did you see, Bryan?
I had seen you
when we first were in your room.
I had seen you in that state before.
Oh, you had?
But it had been, I can't say that any of them are the same.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the episode may be, but I had seen you similarly like that before, so I felt like I kind of knew how to be with you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I knew how to be with you. But you know what's funny is like, even when you've been in those states and we've been at work, you still crush it, man, every time.
Well,
Dude, you still once you get in front of that camera, like I can't imagine because like you know, coming to work sleep deprived is hard, but like when you're going through something like that, I mean, I can't go to work when I have a fucking migraine. So like the fact that you can get through, and especially daytime, because prime time, you know, we're shooting 2 pages, you know, to do that amount of work, feeling like that on a fast pace, it's no one can do it.
I will have to say that, and Bryan, especially the day that for my first day back, which is his when he came on the show.
Yeah.
He was a sweetheart. And that's kind of how you have to be with someone like that, with someone who's like, well, you know, that's going through some manic episode or depression. You kind of just have to be sweet. Because if you try to, why, come on, get over it, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. You can't try to pull the person out of it. That's
what he did.
I
He did with me. And one thing that I've realized, and he's right on this, I've been watching some shows lately because I wanted to see how I would look on the TV. You can't really tell. I mean, the only reason I can tell, and I don't know how it's going to be. We can't get into it. But our scenes, because that was
beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, I can't wait to see it because I was messed up.
I saw you. It was beautiful. It was great.
But one way that I can kind of tell is when I'm looking down a lot. If you see me looking down a lot, because I don't want to look at the person's eyes, to see that she's seeing me in a sense, right?
Right.
But they're not doing that, but you think they are.
Right. It's like when you have a little pimple on your head, you think everybody can see it. Only you can see it. Yeah.
All right, boy, this is going deep. Oh, yeah. Oh, hi. How are you? So as a kid, you have one brother.
One brother, one young brother.
And how were you as a kid? Like, were you like a tough kid? Or?
You know, I was, from the way my mom explained it, I was a great kid when I was young. But then when I started going into grade school, like when I also, you know, my parents, they tried to put me in like and nothing against them, they're great, but I just wasn't the right candidate. They tried to put me in Christian schools, and a lot of things I did were very not Christian. So those schools didn't last. And it was stupid stuff, if I remember correctly, like coming to school with a Red Bull and telling everybody it was a beer. Might have flicked my teacher off once or twice. Anyway, but yeah, so once I got to high school, I was like, great.
High school?
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, you were cool in high school?
I was great, yeah. I think even I think elementary school was actually my bad years. Young kid, my mom said I was great. Now my brother, oh dude, total different animal. Oh man, total different animal. He's starting to finally, you know when you have a puppy and the puppy just fucking destroys everything, and then the dog grows up and it's a pretty good dog.
Yeah,
that's gonna be my brother. He's just.
See, I thought you were like I was.
You would think that, right?
Yeah, I was fighting all the time. I was a tough. With me and this other guy were the toughest kids in school, in high school. And I remember one time, I don't know what this dude was a big dude.
Yeah.
This dude, right? And we were at 7-Eleven, and he's come back in the truck going to school, and he looks at me and goes, "Fuck you." I said, whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, "Fuck you." And for us to fight, would have been really bad. But I had a lowrider. Yeah, it didn't have hydraulics, but I cut the springs, and it was real low. and I had crushed velvet interior, midnight blue.
Stop.
No, I got pictures.
Stop it.
I got pictures, and I had a cassette. It was a cassette. Well, it was an 8-track at one time.
Yeah,
And then it becomes a cassette. Then it's a CD.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had an equalizer, bro. You know what an equalizer is?
You could just switch from any one of those things?
No, yeah, you put the song in, drop mom on me. It's on YouTube, they're gonna get me. We cut that out. And then you put the equalizer on with the Jensen speakers.
I know what those are.
You know what Jensen speakers? So you put the thing and it makes it loud.
Oh, so it like amplifies.
Yeah, it amplifies the whole thing.
Got you.
So I can drive around,
Dude, I need to see a photo of this
man.
low rider.
Yeah. But I thought you were like that, no?
No, I did. Well, all of my stuff like
Did you go to high school in Hollywood?
No,
How did you
no.
meet all the actors and stuff?
Dude, that was so I went to high school in Wellington, Florida, and then I moved to LA, and an old buddy of mine that I used to do like commercials and stuff with in Florida had taken off kind of in Disney and Nickelodeon, which at this time, when I moved out to LA when I was 16 or 17, there was no Instagram, there was no Nickelodeon. The only people who were famous were actors, musicians, and athletes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So like Disney and Nickelodeon stars were the biggest things in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I moved out, I was lucky enough to have my friend that I used to do commercials with kind of took off big in that world. And, I came out to LA 16, 17, and, I was partying with Miley Cyrus and like all these people that
Zac
I was like,
Efron.
but yeah, Zach was one
He's
of my
a good actor.
he was one of my close friends, but that was kind of later on in my 20s. Him and I became close. But yeah, so like that was my introduction to Hollywood, which was crazy for me at that age because it's like a lot of people come out at that age and they see it on TV and they see this and it's not like that. For me, it was exactly like that because, I moved out here and I'm like the kid I was watching on TV, I'm doing shots with now,
Yeah.
So it was a cool introduction. And then I worked in Disney and Nickelodeon for a while and, I'm still friends with some of those people.
I want to bring up Zac Efron.
Bring him on.
Only because who'd have thought? Well, he's always been good, but he's a real good. I mean,
He's incredible.
he's not as good as you, though.
He's a really, so, I'll never forget one thing about Zach. We were at his house and he had just done that movie, The Lucky One, where he played like a Marine. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of his segue going from like the kiddie stuff into like, a young leading man roles. So this movie was like really important to him. And we were sitting on his couch watching TV and the director sent over, at like 10 p.m. at night, his like emotional scene in the movie. And he watched it on his phone. He's sitting next to me. He's watching on his phone. And I see him and he's crying, like bawling, crying. And I look over and I'm like, what's wrong, dude? He's like, it's fucking terrible. And I'm like, yeah, he's like, it's fucking terrible. And I was like, let me see. And I watched it and it was fucking great. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, it's really good. He's like, it's fucking terrible, man. I'm ruined. So he has like that type of care to his work. And in my opinion, he's a good actor. I've always thought Zach was a good. Did you see Iron Claw?
Yeah, sure, it's fantastic.
He's a good actor.
I even saw the one with Nicole Kidman. I was into that like crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a romantic kind of thing.
I think unfortunately for him, like people weren't ready to see him have a gun in his hand yet. He was still the Disney kid. If he would have did like the comedies, like the Seth Rogen, like Neighbors and stuff, and did those for a while, and then kind of segued into like the leading man holding a gun thing, it might have worked out. But like it's hard to transition from Disney, Nickelodeon into like Shia LaBeouf's the only one of the ones who did it successfully, and then he ruined everything, obviously. But he became, I was friends with him for a while. Yeah,
When he did Lucky Stevens or Even
Stevens, yeah.
I told my daughter, I said, I want. She goes, look at that, look at this guy, and I watched. And I said, he's going to be the next Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
You know, it's a young kid, and we won an Emmy the same night.
No, what? Oh, you told me this.
Yeah, he
That's
was cool.
great.
Yeah, he was cool.
You know what's funny is that's such an accurate because that's what they ended up. They were starting to call.
Oh, they
Yeah,
were.
before he messed things up, people were calling him like the next Dustin Hoffman.
He's
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah, he is.
But people screw it up.
Yeah.
You got to get your shit together.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your all the stuff you've done. You know, you got to understand something. I consider Bryan one of the best actors that I've ever worked with, and I don't.
And likewise.
I don't say that lightly, but it's true, and everybody knows. And I think a lot of people were kind of pissed off that I felt that way. I'm not going to get into it. So let's talk about Spread, because is that like because it's about porno magazines?
No, so
Sorry,
it's a real story actually. It was basically meant to be like a workplace comedy, like what do you call it, The Office, but in a porn magazine hub, because the creator who wrote it actually went through that when she was trying to become a writer. She was doing these odd jobs, and she ended up getting a job as a temp, and it ended up being at this porno magazine company. And to be honest, I was on the hiatus from my last show, Good Trouble. We had just finished the season, and I'd actually just read with Doug Lyman and Jake Gyllenhaal for Roadhouse.
no.
Yeah, I read for 3 different roles. They really wanted me in that movie, and if 3 different roles, reading with the director and Jake.
Damn.
So I really wanted to do that, and it didn't end up happening. So this script came across, me, and it was the funniest on paper. I have to say, it was the funniest script I had ever read.
Harvey Keitel.
Yeah, Harvey Keitel. Then they told me Harvey was doing it, and I was like, okay. But I've never gotten nervous. You know me, I don't get nervous like acting like ever, right? But this was a full-on comedy, right? And they just said, the character's yours, the job's yours, show up with something. And I was like, fuck. Okay, it's my first, I'd done comedy before. This is my first time doing a full-fledged comedy.
Yeah.
And the first time them giving me full reins to do like whatever I want with that character. So, I worked on it. I watched Horrible Bosses, and like I took some pieces from Colin Farrell's character in that, and then Dodgeball. I don't know if you remember Ben Stiller, Globo Gym. That guy. I got
How about Hollywood? What is it?
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing the movie, and it was a crazy experience. It was fun. I'd never been nervous my first day. I was so fucking nervous because I was we were still pandemic times.
Oh yeah.
So I hadn't even met the other actors. We hadn't even done a table read.
Wow.
And I show up first day, and it's like one of my biggest scenes in the movie.
Oh.
And I'm like, fuck, dude. And like, you feel naked sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
You're really putting yourself out there with acting, especially like when you're having to kind of throw shit at a wall and see if it sticks first day on set.
Yeah.
I'm coming out playing this coked out, like, fucking guy, and it's higher energy, and like, it's not what I'm used to.
Did they give you notes?
No, dude, they after the first day, Harvey Keitel's wife came up to me and she was like, I just want you to know you're fucking phenomenal. And I was like, wow. That's all I needed to hear to give me the confidence to kind of push forward. Yeah. And then that whole movie, I started just going completely off the page, and most of that is what they kept.
Damn.
Yeah, and it was another time. There's nothing more rewarding than once you get comfortable. It took me one day to get comfortable in the character's skin, and then I just started throwing things out there. And there really isn't a better feeling than when comedy lands, and you get and the whole set starts roaring, laughing, and so there's no better feeling.
No, that is.
So after that happened a couple of times, I was like, all right, I'm in it, and then
because drama, when you do a great dramatic thing, it just gets quiet.
Yeah, it does.
But comedy, you can feel that energy.
But see, I prefer the dramatic stuff.
I do too.
You know what I mean? Like when you hit like a really do something in front of me. the comedy is like a quick, like,
Yeah.
oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
But that shit is like,
Stays.
fuck.
It
Like,
stays.
that hurts almost to watch, you know?
What about Grand Hotel? I feel like that dude who in the Method in Actor Studio did.
Oh, yeah.
What about Grand Hotel?
Actually,
Did you feel good doing Grand Hotel?
so that was one of ABC's most expensive shows they've ever did. We rebuilt the Fontainebleau in Manhattan Beach, like almost to fucking scale.
Wow.
Like, it was crazy. And I was playing one leg alcoholic. Like there was so much training that went into like using the prosthetic and walking on it and all that. So it was fun. But the story I'm going to tell is that show did actually very well and the network loved it. The reason why, and a lot of people don't know this, and if you do, I'm not sure how you found out, but what happened was the guy who played my dad, Damian Bashir, we had just wrapped the season and we were about to start doing press, and he had, and I say this with as much respect as I can. He came home and his wife had committed suicide. She was, he came home and she was drowned at the bottom of their pool. And if you watch the show, his wife actually played my doctor on the show. She was only in a few episodes. And she was bipolar, had manic depressive, and all that. And none of us knew. So obviously, that happened to Damian, very unfortunately, right as we were leading in to do press for the season and stuff. So
I didn't hear that.
yeah, so he backed out of everything, and he was number one on the call sheet. When your number one is going through that and it can't show up to the stuff, the show kind of, they were like, we got to move on, So yeah, that's what happened with that.
That's
Terrible. God bless him.
Yeah, God bless him. Okay, so let's go into a show. I'm starting to feel like that dude, man. I'm not trying. I don't want to do an interview like that. He's like, what would you say was your best life? Bryan Craig. Let's go from GH, from the beginning till we just did somewhat that we can't talk about right now. I'll start because it started with I was watching a screen test. You remember the story?
Oh,
When I was with who's going to play my son?
yeah.
Okay. And there was a TV in my room, and I'm watching it, and this dude comes up, and I'm like, I don't like. I just to myself, I said, I don't like. And there's this other guy, and I said, damn, that dude's great. So I'm waiting to hear who they're gonna hire, and they hired this guy, and I said, that's fucked up. And they always hire the people that I don't want them to hire. And so then, he comes on, and I don't know how was it when you first came on? Was I really nice?
You were a dickhead. You were a dickhead. But not like you didn't say anything. I couldn't have your attention for half a second. I was like, hey, and you would just be like, right. No, I mean, I was working with Maura at first, and I you know what I remember is I remember going home because at the time I was living at this house with like 5 dudes, and like once I did a week at GH, I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here because I have to study 18,000 hours every day. It was so funny because I remember going back to the group of my house, my group of guys, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get fucking Maurice's attention. I just fucking can't get his attention. They're like, why? I'm like, I just think he fucking hates me too. Dude.
Now, what's funny is, and I wish he was here, it's not that I hated him. It's just that I didn't, it's just an ego thing where they didn't hire who I wanted them to hire. Now, Chad, I hated.
Still does actually.
Chad's like my son, who's like, come on, dude.
Chad.
But I love him like a son.
Yeah.
But Chad was because he took over the kid that they fired without even consulting me, and it became a big deal. But Bryan, so then the first day I worked with Bryan, it was interesting because I was in a scene. It was a nothing scene, and my ears, which is usually the first thing that hears the truth, my ears went, this guy, I think he's good, in my head. And then I think probably I went up to you. I don't know if I said it, I don't remember. And then we just started working together, like I took him under my wing, like I do with all the young actors that I like, and then the ones I don't like can go to hell. So then I saw that this is I was talking about it with this Uber driver. There's good, there's great, and then there's special. I consider him special because it's kind of, and I consider Steve the same thing, and so many others, and Joshua, my son, at 13, I'm like, what the? How does he know how to do that? So, you came on, and what happened? Who'd you play with, and what'd you do?
No, I came on, and they had me kind of in the more. It's funny because I wanted to work with you bad, and I wanted good stuff.
Yeah.
With you, and once we kind of warmed up to each other, and we started kind of doing the thing, we realized, I think, that we had a capacity to hold something pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And like I wanted that. You know what I mean? I wanted that. And then when they gave us the bipolar storyline, for me, it was the first in my acting career, the first big what's the word I'm looking for? Responsibility that I had. And I felt like what more perfect to be given something so challenging to play, and then be with somebody who can hold my hand through it, and guide me through it to play it as true as I can. So, and you did that for me, and that was half the reason the performance was what it was, because you took no slack, and every time we did, I almost felt like you were my director.
Yeah, sure.
You were my director through that whole storyline, and dude, you guided me so well, and you put so much of your personal life and everything out there, and I still appreciate that to this day, because even when I went up and I accepted those Emmys, that's exactly what I said up there.
Yeah.
I said, thank you to Maurice Benard for putting so much of yourself out there and helping me win this award.
Yeah, Bryan is just those kind of actors that you just gotta tweak, and then he'll do wonders. You gotta tweak. Like, for instance, we did a scene we were arguing with each other in a room with it's a party. People are Carly and fucking, I don't know. Chad was there, and we fucking going at each other. And I swear to God, I said, and I don't want to get into what I want to say, because there's just a lot of people didn't quite believe in Bryan's talent like I thought they should. Let's just leave it at that. And he was great there, and it was like almost like I just was like a young Brad Pitt, like that kind of acting. And then one time Bryan came in, he was doing his bipolar manic, and he did a monologue, and I watched and heard, and I looked, and I said, it's not good. So I took him.
I remember this, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
And I took him in the back, and he says, well, how do I do it? I said, listen, when you're manic, okay, when I've been manic, it's like, everything's fast. Hey, wait, because you can't control me. When you're in that state, even in anxiety, but not so much like manic. When you're manic, the emotions take you. You can't take them. That's the difference. Because if you could take them, you'd be fine. You can't. So I said to him, it's like being on cocaine. No, I'm not encouraging any cocaine. But it's like being on cocaine. I said, do it like Eminem.
Yeah.
When he spits it, Eminem spits it, and then with the energy of that, and he came in, nailed that son of a bitch, won 2 Emmys. So what are you gonna do?
And you know what? And that's exactly what I'm saying, because especially at that time, we're talking 8 years ago. The presence of YouTube and videos and posting and stuff wasn't what it was now. And even now, I don't know. It's not something I search, but it's not like back then I could go type in someone in a manic episode and watch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't have anybody in my life that, was close to me that I had experienced that. So I had no idea, So that's what I'm saying. And I remember that exact note and that exact day and that's when it clicked for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. But once you told me the rapping and the cocaine and I was like, oh, okay, I think I get where to kind of go with it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, probably I've asked every question. It's been fantastic. And now I want you guys to ask questions. I want to talk about one thing. Now, I got to be very, Alice knows. Bryan obviously knows. Melissa knows. Well, there was an incident that happened. I'm going to give you behind the scenes. But don't go telling people. Because I'll get, not that I'll get tripped. Is it in my book? Well, listen, I don't remember. Do you know the incident with Bryan?
I don't remember.
Well, hopefully it's in my book. There was one night, and we're not going to mention any names. I'm not going to get real into it, but there was one night I was doing a scene with an actress and Bryan. And it was I didn't have many lines. She didn't have many lines. He had a shitload, like monologues. Okay? And he does the scenes, and after the scenes, the way they were speaking to him was like, just wasn't cool. Like a dog, Can you just move it over there? Can you just? And I'm like, oh boy. Remember that shit?
Oh yeah, I was getting afraid for them.
Yeah.
Better be nicer to me.
So I was like, this isn't, because look, not just Bryan, I don't like any actor. I'm like, if you're gonna disrespect an actor in front of me, we're gonna have a problem. Okay? And I've always been like that from the beginning till now. You just, you can say a little, but if you keep going, it's not good. So every time they're doing that, and then this last, he had a big scene coming up. I think it was the last scene. He had monologues and stuff. So I said, I remember him looking at me up there going. So I went up there and I said, don't worry about it, okay? Do what you do. You're fantastic. Just kick ass in this one. And then you move on. Don't worry about it. Went back. He did it. Fucking nailed it. And I hear, we got to do it again. Now, there's no point in me having to tell you what I said. It wasn't pretty, and I was angry as hell. It's the worst I've ever gotten. And I've yelled, there's other things, but this was I was almost leaving the set. And my Craig said, don't do that to your actors. So I went back. was a lot of more going on, and the next day there was a lot going
I got a string of apologies after that.
I mean, it just was a, and I think it is in my book. Anybody read my book? Please tell me that it's in my book or not.
It's in your book.
It's not. It's in.
No.
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 They didn't put that in there.
We can pretend.
My second book that I'm going to write. But anyway, that was just one of those things where you
No, you protect all the actors. You really do, because again, it's like I said, you're out there. It's you're naked, like you're being vulnerable, and like there's giving direction.
Yeah.
And there's being just a dick
disrespect.
and disrespectful,
Yeah.
and to someone that's out there like putting their everything on the line, and you're a protector of that, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
All right, so thank you. We are. This has been incredible, but now we're going to get some questions. Before I'll say it about Bryan, there's not a lot more to say that I've already said. He's a great friend. He's the kind of actor that I just love to work with. Deep, intense, pretty eyes, and it's great. So now we're gonna get some questions from you guys. Is that cool? This is what I don't get on my state of mind, obviously. Yes.
Okay, so I love you both in this great, the story and everything, but when you were describing the manic depression, I have a niece that she's, when she's manic, she's like, so high, so up and everything, then she crashes, and she crashes, she's like stays in her room for days. So what would you suggest as a family that we could do? When she does that, we don't know how to handle it.
That's a good question. Obviously I'm not a doctor, so we'll put that out there.
Sorry.
Listen, my first manic episode, I was put in a mental institution. And that was a nightmare in itself, okay? Being put in a room at times from your wrists, your waist, to your ankles. It's all bullshit. And what happens is then I escaped. That's all my book, I know. Then I escaped, and then what happens is once the medication was down, I was made depression for 8 months. So I was like her. I didn't come out of the room.
Her son died of fentanyl,
Oh Jesus!
and he was in Michigan, so she was feeling guilt for not being there with him. And so she just went way out of the, it's like she's so far now, it's hard to sure.
Yeah, but you know what? It's I keep saying it, and I'll say it again. As strong as I appear, I am the most scared, fragile person when I go through these things. And I've been able to, as my wife says, you're stronger than you know. I've been able to get through more things than you can even this last one, which is like, you just gotta, like I said, you gotta just give her hope and love and patience. And for depression, get her out of that bed, man.
Yeah, my sister, she tells me she'll go out somewhere and then she'll be gone for 3 days and then she comes back and she just stays in her room. She comes out and get food, but that's it.
Jesus. Well, I wish it was. It's tough. It's not easy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Question. So state of mind has really impacted me positively, as well as my 13-year-old son. We both have general anxiety disorder and panic disorder. And my husband, he doesn't have any of that. So state of mind helps him because he kind of gets to understand, like, okay, it's just not my wife and my kid here. This is just how, I would say this is how we are wired. This is how our hamster wheel is. And what you've done is so important. And so many people resonate with it. Sometimes I worry for you because I do see people on social media reach out to you with some very heavy stuff. And so because you are a champion for mental health, how do you try not to help everyone? How do you keep your peace while helping people? Is it a conflict for you, or how do you balance that out?
That's a fantastic question, which is how do I keep peace with trying to help people? You know, I believe that my main responsibility is state of mind. Out of that, you know, I want to help the world, but I know that I can't because there's times that I can't help myself. So I try to not weed it out, but I just try to, I go with my gut with everything, right? Well, even music, what do I do here? It's music, it's my gut. Really good. So if I read something and I have to reach out, I will. And it is tough because you know I can't do it all.
Right.
But I think with my show, I just try to improve it. Like coming up when the show starts again, September 1st, there's something that I've never discussed, and I think that will help a lot of women. It's Sarah Bryan discussing something, and that's how I try to help by improving.
Well, thank you for all that you do. I keep you in my prayers when I see something.
Oh,
Just
thank
reach
you.
out to you because, like, the man can only do so much. But thank you isn't big enough. But that's why he gives you.
Yeah, you know, Laura Wright actually texts me, and I know what she's trying to say. It's like she'll say, you know, you can give people stuff, but you know, don't forget you.
Yeah.
She'll do that, and I know what she's meaning, right?
Yeah.
You know, that I'm doing too much or I'm doing this and then I can't. So I appreciate it. Yes.
Maurice, over here.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, you met at the general school that you but I actually wanted to talk to Bryan because I just wanted to come here. I've been watching for 23 years, since '94, every episode. Two storylines have actually really impacted how I live my life. One was like in the 90s with the eighth episode. And the second was when I saw you in that manic episode in 2016. I got diagnosed in 2013. A lot of people still get diagnosed, but the divorce custody stuff. And I thought, okay, I don't need to meds, I don't need meds. And I saw for the first time when I saw that performance in October of 2016. I saw what my parents saw when they saw me. Wow. And that shifted something so major. And in the last 8 years, like the way I manage it now, I'm like, I have systems in place, I've got scales. You know, you have people out there who can hear you without you speaking, like they can just hear you when you're silent. You hone in on those people, and then you have people that kind of manage you. So 8 years have come along, and actually they want to get into some like platform systems. So I'll talk to you about that.
I just want to say that's the biggest compliment I can get, and I really appreciate that. And those compliments have come quite a bit from that performance, and that's what's so special about it, is because it's not just people going, "You were really great in that," but people going like, "Wow, I figured something out, or you helped me in a way," and that's why I think that was such an awesome thing, because I've never gotten those kind of compliments with any other performance of mine. So that's just reached out on a bigger level. So thank you for saying that.
What's the status on the screenplay?
Which one?
For your experience in Mexico?
Oh. Good question. I'm far enough away from it now that I can actually, you know, see what's up with that. We'll see.
Hi, Maurice. You and I talked before, talked about my daughter, with medication, with autism, and you realize I have another daughter. She's 25. For the most part, she can function, but she's been sleeping and she doesn't want to get up and do anything. She keeps her room dark. And she, you know, especially in the Black community, a lot of people don't believe in mental health. It's like, you know what, suck it up. This is just you. But I'm glad when I talked to you about my daughter, I got her diagnosed. Maybe she had autism. But my older daughter, she has ADHD and anxiety, depression. And I felt so bad because as a mother, I felt like, how can I miss one child when I've been so focused on another? So thinking about the storyline when Bryan was on the show, and I remember you were feeling guilty, like I passed this on to my son, I
Right.
passed this on to my son.
Right.
As a parent, how, and even Paula, because you are a support system for your husband. I have a mom who lives with me now, and she's cognitive, mom cognitive impairment and borderline dementia. So I'm dealing with all of this. How, as a father, you know, for your kids and on the show, and even Paula, how do you cope? How can you still be strong for your family, knowing inside that you're breaking? Because was it something I did? Was it in my genes? What was it that I could have done better than I could have thought? You know, my daughter's doing well, and the only reason we knew that something was wrong with my daughter was because she was just tired. She couldn't focus. My older daughter, she would be fine 1 minute, next minute she couldn't do X, Y, and Z. So normally I wouldn't do this, but I said, you know what? Why don't you take one of Angela's medication, my younger man? And I'm so glad I did, because she told me that she was able to finish a shift at work, and she works for Disney. She's wonderful at what she does, she's caring, but she can't keep staying on track. And for me, it's like, how is that? Oh my God, I love my kids. How do you cope? How do you deal?
Well, we need to, especially I can see with you, you're a very sweet person, nice. We gotta take away all this guilt, I believe. You know, this has nothing to do with your thing, but like suicide. It ain't anybody's fault. It is. Somebody can take their life in a second. That I do know. So it's nobody's fault. With you, you're doing the best you can. Because in your gut, you're doing what you think needs to be done. And it seems to me you're doing the right thing. Okay? We always have to judge, you know, this is, did I do? No, that's it. You know, Sonny, because see, Sonny's like, he thinks too much, you know. He's always judging. I'm a bad father because I got my son, that's my father. Kill me. You know. But you're doing what you need to do. I can't tell you what to do. You know what to do. Yes. With the green cool hat on. And I want to say one thing about state of mind and mental health in general. You know, I've done a lot of appearances the last couple of years. And I got to tell you, sometimes, you know, I do funny, stupid stuff, and then it's a lot of questions and answers. 70%, 80% of the questions are state of mind, mental health. Not General Hospital. Never been like that. Never been like that. Because you know what that tells me? The world is suffering. And we all want answers. We all want to figure out this thing called mental health. And even I do. You know, when I go through, like just recently, I went through like 6-7 different therapists in 5 days because I needed to know, help me, please. I can't feel this way. I don't want to feel this way anymore. And then the guy gives me something like this, and then no, that doesn't work. Try another one. Yeah. But we're all, you know, it's a tough time right now. Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say, like she said, doing an amazing job with state of mind, and I watch it religiously. But I also have something similar where I'm 14-year-old daughter, right in the midst of starting school. You know, kids it's a whole other beast with them. Last year, she was also going on a yo-yo ride, roller coaster of emotions. And I also felt the same guilt where it's like, I don't feel doing the right thing with her, because I could see signs of some, you know, depression coming on. for whatever reason, because there's a lot more pressure on kids these days. And there are times when she would felt like shaky, where she wanted to take her own life out also. And as a mom, it's like gut wrenching. So I went to kind of got her therapy, and she's been with the therapist for a while. So she's a little better this year. But how do you, whether as a parent, doesn't matter, mom or dad, how do you watch your child, suffer, even though they're going to therapy, and not able to do anything for them?
What's funny is I'm listening to you and her, and it's hard for me to answer that because I've lived that. I've lived the other side. So I can tell you what I want from my side. How's that? And what I want from my side is just love, patience, understanding, and this is very important because I don't love taking medication, and I won't bring up any names of the medication, but I've been taking lithium for 31 years, and the lithium basically, it saved my life. Okay, great, it's fine, lithium's cool, but I don't like taking it for anxiety and stuff, even though I went through some stuff. I don't like, but you know what? I went to see this great psychiatrist that I found. It was a lucky man, Paulus. This dude had he answered. That's God, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay. So I started seeing he's fantastic. And he put me on something. And shit works, right? And it's like, I said to him, so when am I getting off this? And he goes, why? And I said, well, because I don't like taking it. He goes, why would you want to get off something that's making you feel back to normal? I said, yeah. He goes, if you go through what you just did again, you may be on 5 medications. So what I'm trying to say is the medication is pretty important sometimes. And another reason I didn't want to take medication? Because I felt damaged. Like, why come Bryan doesn't have to take it, or my other friend? And then I realized in my own head, I said, because they're not mentally ill. So I got to do what I got to do as a mentally ill person to make me feel kind of normal.
There's no shame.
No, but I do.
Yeah, of course. But I get.
Yeah, I'm working on this.
Can I say something?
So I don't know if you guys know that, but this topic here I got very emotional about because this last period is really hard time. I've always told people the great thing that he does is if a doctor tells him to do something, he does it. If he says take this medication, go in there, do this, he does it. He's always been that way. But in this period, he wasn't. And he'd also messed with his medication. And I've never been someone to go out and tell people to take medication. I just didn't feel like it was, something that was okay to do. And then one day I called up Melissa and I said, you know what? I'm really, really pissed off at myself about one thing. And it's about me being afraid of medication. I have thyroid cancer. I take medication every day. Bryan suffers migraines. I suffer migraines.
Yeah.
When I have migraines, I'm going to take that medication. So we turned to another friend of ours who's sitting over here who said, can you help us come up with something that we can put out there? So we came out with a new shirt. And the shirt says, just take it. Now, it's a pill, but there's a heart right next to it that says, educate, medicate, and alleviate. And that's how I feel now, to not be afraid of that. And then I made an even bigger joke, said to Maurice, what I kept saying to him a couple months that he was going through this was just fucking take it.
Yeah.
And that's the shirt I'm going to come out with.
Yeah, I don't. It's weird. I just don't. But now, it's important. Whatever's important, you do. Yeah.
So I just want to thank you also. I have bipolar disorder, and my family is starting to understand a little better. But I, like you, would be like, I'm not taking this medication forever. It's not like I
Yeah.
need he said, why? How long is this going to last? And things like that. So I made my family watch the show when both of you are on about you stopping your meds, how you're reacting. And they were like watching, and I think something clicked like, wow, that's what she's living with. They just said, oh, just go to therapy.
Mhm.
Therapy. I'm like, but that's sometimes you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And then my friends would be like, oh, I don't somebody just can't get off the couch. I'm like, they just don't
Yeah,
understand it.
yeah,
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But all I could do, and I make my family and friends watch, and
Yeah.
I educate because sometimes I am alone because they just don't understand. They don't know what to say.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
I created the show with that in mind. Like, I wanted a show that I could talk about mental health in an entertaining way. Because a lot of people won't watch just mental health thing. But if these actors are talking about things, or I am, and I knew that why I think that's great is because let's say you, like you said, let's say you have a husband who may be bipolar and doesn't want to take medication. And then he sees me saying, I'm on medication, saved my life, this, then and I've had people write me and say, my husband was never wanted to go see his therapist or whatever. And I was watching him on State of Mind, and he was over my shoulder. Oh man, this makes me cry. And he said, I think I want help. So that's what it's about.
And I also want to say on a second note, you also helped with the story with the Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Because my dad had Alzheimer's and I took care of him for 7 years. So I felt that you also knew what I was going through just by watching you and watching it with your TV dad. But that was
Yeah,
great.
that was the Alzheimer's was I was just coming off. I'll bring this up again, and I know I bring it up a lot, but I think it's important for people maybe that haven't heard. I was going through probably the worst time of my life during the pandemic, about 4 months of literally torture and hell. And I ended up taking something at the end of that, too, that got me over it. And I had to go back to work. Well, I wasn't quite there, kind of like I was with you. And I went back to work, and it was the Alzheimer's story, beautifully written, the whole story. Max Gale's a great actor. And I remember going, just say the lines, don't act. Because everything in the past with me was, I got to win an Emmy. Let me cry, let me more, cry. This one I said, don't do shit. Just sit, talk to him. I had monologues. But the reason that I bring this up is because at a time during the pandemic when I literally could not be here today for months, feel like. To get through it, and after that, I won 2 Emmys, created State of Mind, New York Times bestselling book. When I thought I was done. That's what I'm talking about. You're not done. And if you get through this shit, meaning the pain of anxiety, depression, whatever it is, God, if you do the right thing when you get out of it, you go you could go drink and you could do that, you're going to be screwed later on. But if you get on the right path, that is God's gift. God says, okay, Maurice, how'd you like that one? Well, God, I hated it. It was the hardest thing in my life. Okay, well, you went through it. You got through it. Now, guess what? You're better now. And I'm going to make you even better. And this is what I'm going to give you. Ba, 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 ba. And that's what seemed to happen at that time.
So I just want to thank you because I felt like you were with me at my side.
I'm always on anybody with bipolar. It's my sister. My brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The vice mistake. So thank you, Bryan, for having me back on the show too. I think a lot of people didn't think that would ever happen, so we're really excited. Looking forward to these scenes. I think they're going to be emotional, and I think we're really excited for it.
Well, thank you. I will jump at the opportunity to work with him. So that was an easy decision. And just remember, now you guys know when you do watch that stuff, what he was just coming off of
Right.
while we did that, which makes it all more,
Yeah.
all the more impressive.
But what's interesting is here that that's the trip. I just kind of thought of it. All the hard times that I've been through, not all, the two worst, but not really, but the two bad ones. I came back into a storyline that's intense. I'm not going to give it away because I will get my answer.
Yeah.
Good thing it airs on Tuesday, I think. So
Is it Tuesday?
I think it airs on Monday,
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
or maybe Tuesday. But it's it's really great
Yeah.
to watch it.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't want to answer, but as someone who followed you on Instagram, it looked like you had a real struggle during the actors and the writers strike. But I think you were open, you're posting accountability about doing the runs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. That was it during the pandemic or the strike?
It was the pandemic and the strike.
Yeah, I was, I mean, through those times, so, so fun, not funny, but Grand Hotel backed up right to the pandemic, and then this show that I just finished doing backed up right to the strike. So it felt like, geez, like the worst possible scenario, like who can plan for a pandemic or the biggest strike in entertainment history, So at those times I felt, I guess I felt really unlucky. Because that's just how it felt in the moment. So one of the ways I was dealing with that was, I was going to the beach and like running a lot, just to kind of clear my head. And I did so many weird things. I bought a tattoo gun at one point. Started tattooing my hands and stuff. Like I was losing my mind. But yeah, the running was something because you know what? It's one of those things, and I feel like the older I get, the more I should like running, and I fucking hate running. And it pisses me off because, like, I'll see somebody, like, that's not really, like, not in the gym a lot, not super athletic, and they'll run, like, 3 miles. I'm like, how the fuck do you run 3 miles? Like, I can barely run 1. So I was out there and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna conquer this, and I didn't. I didn't conquer it. I think I stopped at like 1.5 miles. I was like, that'll do.
I was kind of sharing that you were having a hard time and you're showing how you're working through it, which I felt was very powerful. And it, it's a reminder for those of us following to say, oh, we can do that kind of thing
Oh,
too.
you know what? I can't believe that was
So
so. I had a minor surgery on my head. This is when I was really doing that, and I won't say who or how, but it was a botched surgery, and they nicked my occipital nerve in the back of my head. So for 3 or 4 months, I couldn't move my head to the left, to the right, up or down. I couldn't lay it on a pillow. So someone who already has insomnia, I did not sleep. When I'm telling you, I did not sleep for 4 months, and I finally started to understand how that can affect your mind and your body, which is like I was hallucinating. Like that's how bad it was. And when I was finally healed, by the way, during that process, they put me on painkillers. I was in so much excruciating pain from morning till night that I was taking these things like just please help me. Ended up ODing. Had to go to the ER because I took too much, what was it, Vicodin or something? It was the worst 3-4 months of my life.
No, I actually reached out to Maurice on Instagram because I was worried what
Yeah,
I saw. What you were posting was scary.
It was terrible. That's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And that's when I started doing the runs, when I finally got better, because I was so grateful to have my health. And like I guess everybody, like, you take things for granted until you're completely incapacitated for 3-4 months and you can't do anything. And I was waking up at like 4 a.m, like, yes, like let's go on a run. Still only running 1.5 miles. but I was so happy to be normal, like healed and stuff again. So yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, 2 more questions and we're good. Yeah.
Sorry. Really hard.
Yes, don't be sorry.
Okay. All right. Bipolar mom. 5
Wow.
adult kids.
Bipolar is the best.
2 youngest, 19 and 20, bipolar.
Wow.
It's been rough. My youngest 19-year-old son, we found him in the tub, cutting his arm, almost dead. So, how do you, as a bipolar person, regulate your own fluctuations while you're trying to be the strong one for the other kids that you brought into the world?
Wow.
Yes, I don't know if you've dealt with this or not, but
No. Well, I can tell you how I regulate myself. I'm sure you're doing great. What do you think you should do? You know, I've never been in that situation. Fortunately for me, lithium has worked wonders, and I don't even think about having a nervous break. I've had 3 nervous breakdowns. I don't think about it because it's been 31 years since I've had a breakdown with that. But it'd be tough if I kept having manic episodes. How many manic episodes have you had?
it's been a while. But I get kind of hypomanic type situations.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty good at being able to tell, so I can, adjust meds accordingly.
Yeah.
I've been doing well for a long time, but it's so hard to deal with when you're like, okay, yeah, obviously this came from me, and I'm just trying to keep my kids alive.
Yeah,
There's
but
so much to offer to the world. They're
I
such
understand.
wonderful kids,
That's an interesting. I just had a psychiatrist on, and I really liked. We got some real cool stuff, and this is some stuff that I'm gonna have her on like once a month, and I'll get into what you asked me about with your kids and stuff, because I think it's very important. But like I said, you can only do what you can do, right? I mean, I don't know. Love, patience, and just be there for the person.
Yeah, the hardest thing for me has been every time I hear the shower go off.
Oh
middle of the
yeah.
night, I jump up because I
Yeah.
have to knock on the door and say, "Are you okay?" And then my 19-year-old's like, "I'm fine, but I don't know." And that's kind of what I'm in the middle of right now.
You're doing everything you should be doing. Trust me. I know. I can just tell. Both you and her, good people, man. What else can you do?
Yeah, I know.
Is just be there, and love them. That's what I want when I'm going through things. Just love, feel love. I want to say this, but I won't give a name or even like someone during the last period was very clinical, but that wasn't helping me. You should be doing this and this and this and this. Probably right, but I felt like shit after that. And that you don't want to do. Right?
Right.
You don't do that,
Oh, no.
of course. All right. That's good.
But it's just all about just letting them know how much you love them.
That's it.
Come to me. That's all I can.
Yeah. That's
But
it.
it's just kind of terrifying.
It is terrible. I get it. Very terrifying. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. How you doing, buddy? Where's your mic?
Oh, okay. Bryan, congratulations on everything. Thank you for clarifying Grand Hotel. Oh, it was a great show.
Thanks.
Appreciate the job.
Thank
you. Maurice, since I was 19, I was diagnosed with major depression. And I'm 60, so I've had it all my life. I kind of crashed about 14 years ago, so I had to end my career in higher education. That was about the time they started me on lithium. And things really hit the road. I burned out. And I was overworked. And I took an overdose of pills, literally. So I know what you do. Yes. But therapy for 40 years, and I stayed on it. Love the fact I've got because of your
Everybody's crying. It's this.
and I've been married to my husband for 20 years. He was able to come. But the show, and I said this earlier, and I always say it again, the show reflects our human lives, and the storylines of the show. You know, I've watched you since you were on my children.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you came out with your story about mental illness, you know, that changed my life. And when you started the show, The State of Mind in your book, I mean, I was born and raised in the body of South Phoenix. You know, when you're talking about blue riders and all that.
Yeah.
I know you're not Mexican, but you know, you were talking my language. You know, I read the book, so you talked about him running to your defense on the set and all that. You know, from what I picked up in your autobiography, this man is a man of honor and heart and soul. I think it's in his soul. For sure. It doesn't surprise me because he's, from what I read in the book, you know, you honor and respect your family, your parents. I picked up on that when I read the autobiography. I was the same with my dad. My dad was World War II immigrant from Mexico. And I know you love your parents, your dad, like that, my mom, and of course, Paul. So the love story that you guys had over the years, and you know, what you just said about medication. One of the problems, I crashed, you know, 15 years ago, tried to commit suicide because I stopped taking pills. And I was working 80 hours, I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, trying to raise money for a college, you know, because that was my job. And, you know, I was a perfectionist and, you know, always doubting myself. So I stopped taking my meds and I crashed.
Yeah.
So, I totally know. After that, you know, I retired and I was like, I'll never stop taking my meds again.
Right.
You know, so just want to say, yeah, love you guys.
Thank you.
You're the best. And I said it earlier. He's my hero.
Thank you.
And it's those of you over at the luncheon, I'm in a crusade to get this guy recognized for his mental health advocacy. So
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Boy, this is, I always do this at the end of State of Mind. I'll just say whatever's on my mind. I have nothing scripted at all. You know, first of all, I want to thank Bryan for being a champ and coming here and telling great stories. I knew he would. You know, everything that I've done cannot be done without the help of you guys. And I've said that from the beginning. And you guys, you know, a lot of things have let me down in this business, but the audience never has. You guys have always been, especially when it came to mental health. We have a bond like no other. And it's going to continue to grow because I'm going to continue to make my show and General Hospital, you know, whatever, my show. I just wanted to just keep getting better and better because, you know, the better it gets, the more people I reach, the more people I help. And I think that's what's important. And always keep sending me stuff on Twitter or Instagram because I read you know, I'm one of those actors and then people are like, enough. But I do read it all and I do respond to some for as many as I can. And then because I can get a feeling as to what's working, what's not working. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. It's been amazing.
Thank you both.